was an interesting race. So the name of the game here was going to be we need to we need to not save fuel, not save too much. We need to do some short shifting, some definitely play around with some fuel mapping sometimes, but yeah, in general, we were going to be better off in fuel, in terms of fuel, so we were going to be able to push a lot more down the straights and down the little back straight, where most other cars would have to save fuel. So the problem was that in the twisty sections, we were going to struggle with the tires. We were going to have to take it much slower, and we were going to depend on these people. So as you can see, coming down to turn 2, I'm turn 3. Sorry, I'm taking this very easy, sort of just trying to feel out these people, see if an opportunity arises, if people are saving fuel, to get ahead of them nice and early while my tires are doing okay. Now this guy opens up a lot, so I decide to take the inside immediately, but he's still sort of there, as you can see, so we have to give him space, but we managed to get the job done. Now we're up one position, up into 14th. It's a 15 lap race, so we have to chill out and sort of ride the slipstream train, and if an opportunity, a clear opportunity arises to take a position, then we take it, as long as we don't sacrifice losing the slipstream to get that position. So the good news was, though, everybody was fuel saving a lot down the straight. That meant that we could push quite a lot more than other people. We didn't have to go to fuel map 2 or 3 like other cars. Obviously the BMW ahead and the Citroen of Prima Ryan are also 2 cars that are spectacular on fuel in terms of at least pace versus fuel saving needed to do, and that is shown in these first couple of laps, actually, because the longer we go into the race, the more I realized it was easier to get the moves done down that straight. Now as we go into the turn 3 again, Tom goes a bit wide here, and he just cuts across. Now I have to go wide to try and get the inside for the next turn. That was obviously caused by this Viper getting a penalty earlier. So we go up on the inside, we make the move done, and again, we're always trying to save tires here as much as we can. I'm not particularly good at that. But one thing I wasn't going to do is sacrifice pace over tires too much, because I needed that pace early on as much as I could. So yeah, as you can see, we're shifting quite early in this section. This is where the Audi really suffers. This last sector is really troubling. I missed the apex by 10 million miles there, and Tom GTS just comes right behind me. Now he's quite smart, and I thank him for it, for not trying to get away from the slip, just staying inside. And as you can see, we're pulling in, even though the Viper also has a slipstream, we are pulling in. Now we have to brake a lot here, because we just ever so slightly bump him, but obviously it was nothing. Really didn't even knock him out of the trajectory. I helped him, if anything. It did get me a bit, like startled there, as you see, like I messed up the Senna S's. But again, we're still in the slipstream, so everything is a-okay. I have to push a little bit more here to try and sort of catch back up to the back of the pack. But now, in this section here, every lap I was feeling like people were going into heavy saving mode, especially a bit later on. You'll see it becomes a lot more clear. So Roswald in the Viper up ahead. The Viper, a very good car here for qualifying and for the race as well. But the OP car for this, as we saw with Medi, was the BMW. The BMW was just insane. He was insane as well. He was insane, and the BMW was just insane. in the membrane. So coming up to the last corner of lap 3, early upshift into third and just ride it out. The Audi has a lot of power delivering at low RPM, so you can sort of short shift the hell out of it and just maintain power. It's very good. So coming up here, finishing lap 3, starting lap 4, as Roswell sort of looks up on the inside but just thinks about it. But everybody is just following this nice little slipstream train. Things are quite static for the moment, but as you can see, Primus is already getting a little bit nervous, and this is good. See, he's trying to not hit the BFR driver, but oh, look at that! BFR gets a penalty, and I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe. Anyway, we try and take the inside here because Ruz sort of opens up. I was thinking about letting it go, but then he sort of goes wide again, so I just stick to the inside here. Try not to touch anyone, BFR or Dylan, who's in the BMW, also a great car here. Also, we can't get that done, but thankfully the BFR driver just touches Roswell, so he again pushes back. He dives late into this turn, and this part is obviously where the Audi suffers the most, so I have to let it go. I get it back, but he gets a penalty there, and he just, yeah, he rage quits. I don't know what happened. If that was my fault, I really apologize, but as you saw, I didn't do anything. I think he maybe nudged the BFR driver on braking there. Yeah, not a good time for the poor soul, and yeah. So now we are finishing lap 4, going into lap 5. We're in the slipstream of this McLaren. He does have 7 gears, but as you can see, we are able to not even brake fully. We lift and coast. I mean, this is the pace is quite slow, I have to say, but it's doing wonders for my tire wear. This TT is very, very, very easy to kick out. So the penalty is served by the BFR drivers. You know, we now are in trouble to maybe lose a slip, but this is the thing. Those 3 drivers ahead are fighting. They're very close together, so they're going to have to be lifting early, which gives us the chance to pull back, and we can obviously use that extra RPM in the Audi. And look how fast we're already on the back of Dylan here, and we're looking good. He dives up on the inside. We don't really know what we can do, so we try to go follow the Ferrari on the inside, but yeah, Dylan is on the inside line for the next turn. Now, we have Tom behind. We don't know what to do. Oh, we dive just a little bit. We go a little bit late. We touch the Ferrari ever so slightly, but we have to give him room now. We managed to hold it on. That was maybe a little bit aggressive, I have to say. So in terms of, I do think I may need to give the Ferrari driver maybe a slight apology there. But I was surprised that I couldn't. Now look at this. The BMW driver does not have the slipstream anymore, and he has to be saving fuel, so he doesn't have pace. I thought, I don't want, if this is what's going to be happening, I kind of want to pass him, because I feel like I can push down the straights, and right now, as the tires are, I can still not lose us pace. So either way, I couldn't make the move work, and we didn't want to lose time here, so I let him go. But now we're going into this, and I didn't really want, this wasn't really what we wanted to do. I didn't want to lose time, so I let him stay together there, and I try and get a good run out of this turn. Now we're holding Tom at a pretty decent range back there, so we go around the outside here, and he kind of lets us go, Dylan, so thank you very much, because he saw that I was trying for the move 3 turns in a row. He thought, okay, I'm not going to try and defend that anymore. I'm going to let him pass, and I'm going to try and follow him. So props to you, Dylan. Thank you for not making that too much more complicated. That could have gone quite badly for both of us. So now my job is to try and push forward. I thought I had okay pace. We can't really practice very much due to this issue in my wrist, so we just had the races before practice, and this was okay. It was going okay. So now we were hoping that down the straight we could pull back. We didn't have the slipstream, but we know that the cars behind have to be saving, so they're not going to be wanting to pass me on the straight. That's for sure. And we can push and try and catch up. And we were. We can't see the delta, but we were. Even though the Citroen was in the slipstream, we were just about holding on. Now I do go a bit deep in here, and that really annoyed me because we needed to hook this up to get a really good exit. Now you see I'm trying to rev it out a bit more. I upshift in this because I don't want to save tires, because those last RPMs in that turn really upsettle the car in that turn. Now we do manage to hook this up nicely, the inside, and it sort of bites the front of the car inwards, and we do manage to get a nice run here. And I mean, we do feel like we're catching up, and we do this nice and tight, and we are catching up to Prima Ryan. We're doing very well right now. We go a little bit hot into that turn. This is a little frustrating, but yeah, we are definitely catching up. We're in a good position. Dylan behind us, just sitting in our slipstream comfortably, not really thinking about anything else other just than following the slipstream train, enjoying my slip as now I'm thinking I think I can enter the slip here. Now we're in ninth position. We're finishing lap 7, so we are just about over 50% of the race. And as you see up ahead, Abel goes into the pits. Now, I mean, we'll see. He had a massive advantage over me, right? And we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, so no, Creaser takes the lead, Daco and Paul in third position. Paul, yeah, he's doing quite well. Now, up ahead we see Prima and Jax, with Jax in the Viper, I believe, leading the way. Is that a Viper? Yes, that's the Viper. So he's in a good car. He should be doing quite well, but he goes a bit wide there, and it forces Ryan to either lift or go behind. But then Ryan thinks about it, and he goes on the inside. This is great for us. They're going side by side into this section, and the Audi is quite strong here in fuel saving mode, because basically the Audi doesn't have to be, and they generally are down this whole section of the track. They go into a higher or lower engine mode. But now we're into the back of Jax already, thankfully. So it took us a few laps, but definitely as soon as we were out of the slipstream range, we were doing solid 39s and improving. As soon as we entered that slipstream range, we started losing that time. So it's interesting to see how we're limited to the cars ahead in pace, and that's what fuel saving races kind of sort of prompt to do. Now you see there's a gap to P4. They're already in turn 1. We have, we're a few seconds behind. Now we need to sort of work together, I think. Although I have to say at this moment I was just sort of focusing on the guys ahead. I was just thinking, okay, P5 is the name of the game, and maybe if some people pit, like if they're silly and they pit, maybe they regain a position or two. So there's still a chance, but we're really focusing on the race we have in hand. And looking at how I have my tires without the slipstream, yeah, I got nice solid laps, but obviously my tire wear went up a little bit, although it was doing okay, and we were getting very, very close to Jackson. Now I felt like we were starting to get held up. The issue with a TT and tire wear is you feel like you're held up, and then if you try and force a pass, you wear your tires down, and then you sort of lose the pace that made sense for you take the pass in the first place. So you're sort of stuck in this place. So you either save tires or you're very decided and you have to go early on. The later in the race it gets, the harder it is. So we have a nice exit off of the last turn of the Interlagos racetrack, going into the final straight of lap 9, and we're in a good position. As you see, Daco also pits. Again, great stuff. Now, here, I don't want to be held up. I decided that early on. I don't want to be held up on the straight. So I'm going to go for the move. I'm going to try and force it as much as I can, but it's not enough, and I have to own up to it, and that was a mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. It was just poorly executed. I went just a little bit too deep, and that allowed Jax to just get a nice line, and we both gave each other space. That was excellent stuff. Now Jax locks up. I don't think he meant to go for that. I think he just made a mistake, and it shoves Ryan a little bit wide onto that AstroTurf, which sucks. So I have to let go here. But thankfully, we're all doing right well. Now, Jax kind of bumps me a little bit, and it kind of shoots me on the inside of Ryan. Didn't mean to do that. Now, we do have to give a little bit of space here. Ryan make a little bit of contact, but it's all good. Now, I have the inside line here, so I made up these positions without really wanting. Jax just messes up a little bit of his braking point and knocks into Ryan into that turn. So there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on, but all good. We secure the 4th position now. This is interesting. As we see in the mirror, Jax and Ryan are really going at it. This is great for us, as we managed to be able to pull, because now they're going to have to save a bit of fuel, although Ryan is probably the worst car for me to be behind, because he's in that Citroen, and with the 7 gears and the great fuel, Citroen might be a slight concern. But as we see, he's under heavy pressure from Dylan. We managed to do our turns nicely, and we managed to create a gap, and we open up a gap, which is fantastic. We're in 4th place. We are, well, Super GT is up there. We can see him. We're getting to a point in the race, as we can see Dylan, he manages to pass Jax, and that BMW strength is starting to come into play. The longer in the race we go, the more the tires and the fuel are going to be okay, and it'll be able to push more than most other cars, at least maintain its pace, its original pace, as long as Dylan was saving, which he was, because he was behind me most of the race. So yeah, now we have Super GT up ahead, but this is the problem, as we were mentioning, the BMW behind. Super GT is also in that BMW, which is coming live, and the Audi is, well, it's being Audi on high tires, which means we are dying slowly. Now, obviously, the 141 of lap 10 is not really a good representation of the actual lap, because, well, of all the fighting, etc. But as you can see, Dylan is sort of hanging nicely into my slip. He's just barely in there. But yeah, our pace is not spectacular anymore, as you can see. As we go a bit too deep, our tires are, you can definitely tell, they're starting to wear. You can see how much Dylan recovered in that one braking point, and how wide we're going here. And I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit worried here, because Super GT was you know, he was sort of, the distance was more or less the same, and I was already starting to struggle on those tires. I could tell some of those braking points. As you can see, I go quite wide here for the first time in the race. I'm starting to feel those nerves, maybe not nerves, but just trying to try and break into the car again. Not much practice in terms of reaching this point of the race with the tire wear to know how to maximize the speed. But we were making a lot of mistakes in the previous race going into that turn, so I was trying to make sure I was braking nice and early, and that I wouldn't. I was trying to tell myself all the time, I'm going to lose more time if I overcook a turn than if I brake early. If I take it easy, because people are fuel saving, it should be better. So every time I made a little mistake like that, I would regroup and gather and just try and focus on the task at hand, especially because Dylan was doing a good job, and I did trust Dylan to not make any mistake that was, like just overcooking and sort of diving or whatever. So I did trust him to be a gentleman about it, which made regrouping my thoughts and gathering my thoughts better. Now, as we see, we do this a lot better, and it does feel like Super GT is ever so slightly coming a little bit closer, maybe. We're very similar on pace. As we see, Super GT 141's 140, so we are gaining on him. And I think if we see the difference in the tire wear, we have just all our tire wear. Our fronts are worse than his. Obviously, his rears are slightly worse than mine. Obviously, we're, TT, we barely touch. But we are gaining. We see we're maybe getting a little bit of pressure into him, but we are struggling with these tires. At this point, I felt like I was maybe holding Dylan up. So if we wanted to catch Super GT, I was considering letting Dylan through. However, I also thought, I don't know. I'm in a good position here. I'm in fourth. I started in 15th. I wasn't expecting this. As you see, I'm really, really trying to push a little bit here, because I think maybe the only way for me to push this, to save this, is if I push and I just get everything I can out of it. Because if I let him pass, I'm not so sure that I can pass him again. So 2 laps left, and yeah, this was already a mighty struggle. The car, like the areas that I needed to be relatively quick in, I was already starting to struggle with. Even coasting was complicated, but I was still managing to nail these break points and sort of, at least maintain the positions in the break points, and if needed, park the car, and because that's where they're going to gain the majority. In the middle of the turns, that's where they're going to gain the most. So, or in the braking points. But as long as I can nail the braking points and not brake too early, and definitely not brake too late. So if I have to nail those braking points, I would be okay, I think, because of how great. See, he was showing his intentions going to one side early. Now, I was really struggling in this last sector. But we are going to the last lap, and Super GT is now not on my sides, because, I mean, unless he has a problem with fuel, which we don't think. At this point, we don't know what his fuel's like. He's a little bit worse on fuel than me. But yeah, I wasn't doing spectacularly either on fuel, so Dylan was also doing a little bit worse. But yeah, Super GT's gone now. As he goes into the last lap, I feel like he maybe goes a little bit deep, and so do I. That settled it in my head in terms of third position's gone. Nothing I could do about it. As you see, I upshift into fifth super early there because of the tires. Now I have to defend the inside for sure. I go onto the inside. Dylan goes out. Now I have to come out. Oh, I touched Dylan there. I didn't mean to do that. I really apologize to Dylan. So now I have to give him the inside line. I really didn't mean to do that. Now, I really feel for Dylan there, as he gets absolutely bombarded by the inside, on the inside by Jax, and Abuelito is in there with fresh hard tires. He is storming through the field, and I can see this. Look at what happened now. Jax just covers on the inside. That was absolutely terrible. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back just a little bit because I want to watch this from Abelito's position. He gets a 2-second penalty here from something. Now he's on fresh, hard tires. He's going to break a lot later. Now Jax just, oh my lord. Yeah. Uh, I don't really understand what Jax was trying to accomplish there, but yeah, I had no tires here. I was forcing as much as I could. I knew he had a 2-second penalty. I just wanted to sort of let him go and grab his slipstream down the line. Otherwise, I would have been absolutely killed. Now, I was pushing as much as I could, and yeah, I eventually managed to get the. We're both getting the slipstream, but I'm just enough. I'm just enough to keep that fourth position because of the 2 second of Abelito, who falls down to eighth. That's how much 2 seconds last cost him. But yeah, it was interesting race from 15th to 4th. I was quite happy with that, and congratulations to Creaser, Boca, and Super GT for a solid race. And thank you to Dylan for also having a fantastic race. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching, guys. See you next time.